Hello students, Mr. Greg is here and I have another exciting lesson for us. I hope you were able to do your homework from the last lesson. By now I would have looked over those and let you know how successful you were. And so going to lesson number 2, we're going to actually program the temperature and humidity sensor and get temperature and humidity readouts on our screen, so we'll just know what the temperature in the room is. So your temperature sensor looks like this, and it's in the kit that we gave out in class. So I need you to get it out, and I need you to get 3 wires. That's right, it's only going to take 3 wires to hook this up. So get that out, and I'm going to show you the connection diagram, so get ready to pause. And there's what it looks like, and you can see it's pretty simple to do. We'll have the pin that if you're facing the blue part of the sensor, then the far left pin will connect to 4 on the Arduino to pin output 4. The middle pin will go to your 5 volts, and the ground pin, of course, will go to ground. So fairly easy to set up. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quickly, and then we can get to programming. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put this in my breadboard like this. Be careful with it because it is connected loosely to the breadboard, and that's so you won't affect the measurements on it. And I'm going to take my yellow wire, it doesn't really matter what color, and I'm going to hook that to pin number 4 on the Arduino, just like that. I've been told I go fast when I'm hooking these up. I'm just so used to it, and you'll get to that point. The middle pin is the voltage, and so I'm going to put that, and I have a longer wire again, just like last week, and I'm going to hook that to 5 volts. So it should look like that. And then I am going to hook my ground pin. You can use any ground pin you'd like. Just make sure you don't put it in the wrong column like I almost did. But I'm just going to hook that over here to my ground on this side. Now I think my diagram shows it going on the other side, and that's fine. But as long as you get that grounded, and we always need to keep all our grounds connected. So that is the diagram, and so now I'm going to get us a nice clean Arduino. Let's see here. IDE, and I am going to begin programming. So we're going to learn something new this week. There's actually a lot of, they're called libraries, and they're pre-programmed sketches that oftentimes the manufacturer will put out there to help you run your sensor. And the temperature and humidity sensor has a library, and so we need to go in and we need to install that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing I need you to do is go up to Sketch, and unfortunately the drop down menu doesn't show on my screen, on the screen you're looking at. But if you hit Sketch, you'll get a drop down menu. And if you scroll down that drop down menu, you'll see one that says Include Library. And it really bothers me that you can't see this, but I apologize for that. I'm working on that. So you go to Include Library, and then you want to click on Add Zip Library. Actually, let's do this. Just click on Manage Libraries. It's probably one of the very top choices that you have. And it really bothers me that you can't see that. But anyway, if you click on Manage Library, you will get a new screen that says Library Manager. And I need you to go to the search part on here. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think I figured this out. So again, I need you to go to Sketch, and I need you to click the drop down menu, and then on here you should see a screen, a choice that says Library. Then that'll open up an additional box, unless you do that, that says Manage Libraries. See that here. And you'll click on that and give it a second, and it should open up a Library Manager page. All right, look like this, and this has all kinds of cool libraries that we'll be using in the future. But today we're going to search for our temperature sensor, and our temperature sensor is actually called DHT11. Let's see if I can pull it up by that. Oh, DHT11. I knew that. Just seeing if you were paying attention. All right, and then you should get a bunch of choices here. And the one I use is from Adafruit. And I just downloaded the latest version. And you can see mine is installed. Now yours will not say that. You'll have a button that says install, and I think it's over here, even though it's highlighted here. And you'll just click on that and install the library. And then once you get that installed, you'll be able to come back up here, include library, and then you should be able to see it in your choices of library, like that. And then it'll install it for you. You can also manually pull it up. If for some reason you can't find it, you should be able to type in #include DHT.H enter, and it would also include it that way. So there's two different ways of doing it. You can manually type it in once you've installed it, or you can look in your library and just click on it and it pulls up here. Now for some reason Adafruit has this additional library. They said they wanted it, or they required it. I don't believe they do, but I'm going to take their word for it. So let me get back to this screen now. All right, so once you have your library included, you need to define your sensor. All right, so we're going to declare it as an object, right? It's basically what we're doing. And so we're going to hit a new command, #define, capital T-Y-P-E, capital T-Y-P-E, and what is it? It's a DHT11, just like that. So you'll notice I haven't put a semicolon behind either one of these, because when you use a library, that's one of the few times you do not need a semicolon. And when you identify it as the object, you don't have to do that either, define it. So now we're telling the Arduino to look for that DHT11 temperature sensor. And so we connected it to pin number. And so what do we need to do? Set up a variable, an integer. We're going to call it, let's call it sense pin. And we connected that to pin number 4. All right, and then we got to tell the Arduino where to look for that sense pin. And it was that type. Just like that, in parentheses there. So now the Arduino knows to look for the DHT on the sense pin, which is pin number 4. So far pretty straightforward. So now we're going to be reading 3 things. We're going to read the humidity, we're going to read the temperature in Celsius, and then we're going to read the temperature in Fahrenheit. So I need to create 3 buckets because we're going to get this data and we've got to put it somewhere. And so we need 3 buckets. Now the temperature could be 76.5, so it's not going to be a whole number, right? Humidity could be an in-between number, and so we're going to use floats. So I'm going to put a float in. I'm just going to call it humidity. And we're going to be reading that, so I don't need a value. And we'll do a float. And we're going to call it temperature Celsius, or C. You could write it out if you wanted to. And float temperature in Fahrenheit. So now we have somewhere to put this value. So we need to do what? Go out and get those values. So the first thing we want to do is be able to read them, right? So we should open up our serial monitor at the 9600 rate, not the J. All right. And we need to turn on the sensor, and so we're going to do an HT begin, open close parentheses, like that. And then once we turn it on, we just want to give it a little time to settle, so I'm going to put a delay in here, DT. And we'll go up here, be a good programmer, create my delay, and I'm going to do that at, oops, fat fingers today, 500. So that just gives it a half a second to settle out. And then in my void loop, what am I going to do? So I've got this bucket, I call it humidity. And now I've got to get the data to go into that bucket. And so I'm going to look at my temperature and humidity sensor, which is HT, and I'm going to read from it. And what am I going to read? I'm going to read humidity. And this is part of the programming that we downloaded. And you need a capital H on humidity, not to be confused with our bucket humidity. So it should look like that. So now I will actually be reading the humidity and putting it in a bucket called humidity. And then I'm going to do the same for my Celsius temperature. HT.read temperature. Now we don't put C here because that would be too logical. We just do temperature, and because the Arduino and all the programming is done in Europe, read temperature is default to Celsius. So you just put read temperature and it's going to give you the value in Celsius. So if we want to read temperature in Fahrenheit, we're going to do the same thing. Temperature, but instead of leaving our parentheses with nothing in them, we're actually going to type true. And that's the command. I couldn't tell you why it was that case, but that's just the way they set it up. And that's what we need to send in there. All right, so now we're reading from the sensor. It's pretty exciting. And we're going to get the humidity, we're going to get the temperature, and we're going to get the temperature in Fahrenheit. So I need to be able to view this, and so I want to view that on our serial monitor. So what are we going to do? Serial dot print. So I'm gonna give it a label, right? So I'll know what it is. So I'm going to put a label on here. Actually, I'm gonna put a little, no, I'm not. Put a label here. I'll just call it humidity. A little bit of space there to actually put the information in. All right, and then I'm gonna do serial.print. Now I'm going to give this a little space, and I'm going to say temp C, a little bit of space there, and then serial.print. Probably a little too much space, but we'll see. We can go back and fix it if we want to. All right, so I've got my labels here, but it's going to be a problem if I don't print the information for each one of them. And so what do we want to print? Well, up here, we've got this bucket that's called humidity. And so we've got a label that will print the word humidity, and then we've got to actually empty the bucket. Humidity. So it will actually print it. All right, serial. Probably could have done this differently. Our bucket for temperature C is temp capital C. And then our bucket for our temperature F, capital F. But this is the end of what I want to print, so I'm going to go to the next line. Yeah. Go to the next line, and then that should print if we did everything right, the humidity and temperature. All right, so I'm gonna put up my delay in just to give it a little time to settle. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to first of all plug in my Arduino, and you heard the sound there, and I'm going to see if I did this correctly or type this correctly. Looking pretty good. I got the green light here. So I'm going to turn on my serial. COM port is busy. COM port 11 is busy. Okay. That is right. That is right. I may need to re-download this. I didn't have my serial monitor on already, did I? Let's try this again. Sometimes you just have to re-download it. Or we may, in live real time, do some debugging. Well, it's magically worked. So I want you to see this. So I'm going to turn that on. And there it is. I don't like my formatting on that. I thought I put space in between my labels. Well, I'm going to exit out of there because I don't like the way that looks. All right, so I'm going to go back to my... You can see that, can't you? I'm going to go back to my program and I'm going to... I put space in there. Oh, yeah. I put it before my quotation. You probably realize that. So that is not very smart thing to do. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to download that. Turn my serial monitor on. Turn it on where you can see it. Ah, that looks a little bit better. I like that. So, as you can see, we've got this. Let's do this differently. Let's do it like this. All right, so we've got it hooked up. We're getting data. The humidity is 57, 58 degrees. No wonder I'm hot. The temperature in Celsius is 25 degrees, and the temperature in the room is 77. Okay. Somebody turn on the air. So I wonder if I can change this. I'm going to pick it up and blow on it. See if I raise, look at there. Raise the humidity and the temperature a little bit. How about that? 95 humidity. I'm running a little bit hot tonight. All right. That is cool. So there's something else I want to show you. And I'm going to kill this and come over to tools up here, which you can't see because it aggravates me. I'm going to change that to, let's go to here, change my display, and let's go here. Okay, all right, so if you go to tools, let me make this bigger. If you go to tools, make sure you close your serial monitor. You'll see you have a choice here. It's called Serial Plotter. And if you click on that, it'll actually open up a graph and it'll actually start plotting those values. And I don't know how well you can see that. And we can make some changes in a later video. I'll teach you how to do that. But you can see I'm actually plotting the temperature in Celsius, the humidity and all of that. And if I can change this, I'll breathe on it again, see what happens. Oh, look at there, my humidity spiked up. How about that? It's pretty cool. The one thing I don't like about this is that it automatically indexes, and sometimes that makes your data kind of hard to understand. But it gives you a quick way of looking at data. And like if we were doing some measurements or something like that, we could take a look at this. Or if we were trying to measure the humidity outside versus inside, or something like that, this would be a quick way of doing that. And so I wanted to show you a couple of new things. One, we learned about libraries, and two, we have opened the serial plotter and we can actually make graphs on this. And so next week we're going to learn how to hook up the LCD and actually get our data on the LCD with the goal of getting this where we're untethered and we can walk around and measure humidity in different rooms and that kind of thing. So anyway, I need you to, I wonder if you can print this out. That would be a cool thing for homework, but it doesn't look like it. So anyway, I need you to copy and paste code where you've done it. I want you to be a little more creative on these labels down here, and cut and paste that to a Word document and send it to me that way, and that'll be your homework for lesson number 2. So look forward to talking to you again. Bye.